Is the UK falling apart? The harsh reality uncovered. It may sound dramatic, but take a look around. Record-breaking inflation, a crumbling NHS, political instability, and even the looming risk of the country fracturing. The uncertainty has never been this high. Is this the beginning of the UK's decline? Join us as we uncover the harsh reality. Let's dive into the facts and understand the current state of the UK in detail. The United Kingdom, a nation with a rich history and significant global influence, is now facing a multitude of challenges that threaten its stability and future. Over 14 million people in the UK are now living in poverty. This staggering number includes families, children, and the elderly, all struggling to make ends meet. The rise in poverty levels is a stark reminder of the growing inequality within the nation, where the gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen. The cost of living has surged dramatically, making home ownership feel unattainable for many. Public services, once a source of national pride, are now nearing collapse under the weight of demand and underfunding. The National Health Service, for instance, is struggling to cope with the increasing number of patients, leading to longer waiting times and reduced quality of care. Scotland is pushing harder for independence, with protests becoming more frequent and vocal. Tensions in Northern Ireland are escalating, threatening the fragile peace. Meanwhile, Britain's global influence is shrinking at an alarming rate, raising concerns about its future role on the world stage. The political landscape is becoming increasingly fragmented, with regional identities clashing with the idea of a united kingdom. Once a nation that controlled a quarter of the world, the UK now struggles to hold itself together. Political instability is rampant, with frequent changes in leadership and policy direction causing uncertainty and unrest. The recent years have seen a revolving door of prime ministers, each bringing their own set of challenges and controversies. The real question is, can it survive this crisis, or are we witnessing a slow and inevitable downfall? The economic decline is evident, with businesses closing and unemployment rising. The manufacturing sector, once a backbone of the UK economy, is now a shadow of its former self, struggling to compete in a global market. Some experts predict economic decline, political collapse and territorial fragmentation, while others believe the right leadership could still turn things around. The debate is ongoing, with no clear consensus in sight. The future of the UK hangs in the balance, with each decision carrying significant weight. So, what's really happening, and what does it mean for the future of Britain? The answers are complex and multifaceted, involving economic policies, social issues, and international relations. The interplay between these factors creates a challenging environment for policymakers and citizens alike. In this video, we'll break down 10 major threats that could change the UK forever. These threats range from economic challenges to political upheavals and social issues. Each of these threats has the potential to reshape the nation in profound ways. Stay with us until the end. The last reason might be the most shocking of all. You won't want to miss it. The unfolding events are not just news headlines, they are the building blocks of the UK's future. The UK is currently facing a multitude of challenges, from economic instability to political fragmentation. Each of these issues is interconnected, creating a complex web of problems that need to be addressed. The solutions are not straightforward and require a concerted effort from all sectors of society. With Brexit still casting a long shadow, the nation is grappling with its identity and future direction. The impact of Brexit is far-reaching, affecting trade, immigration, and even the unity of the United Kingdom itself. The long-term consequences of this monumental decision are still unfolding. The stakes have never been higher, and the decisions made in the coming years will shape the UK's destiny. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The UK is at a crossroads, and the path it chooses will determine its place in the world for generations to come. The choices made today will echo through history, defining the legacy of this once great nation. 1. Economic decline and cost of living crisis. The UK is facing one of its most challenging economic periods in recent history. The once thriving economy is now grappling with a multitude of issues that are affecting every layer of society. The UK's economy isn't just struggling, it's spiralling. High streets that were once bustling with activity now resemble ghost towns with shuttered shops and empty storefronts. The vibrancy that characterized these areas has faded, replaced by a sense of desolation and uncertainty. Millions are feeling the impact as prices soar while wages stagnate. The cost of everyday essentials has skyrocketed, leaving many to make difficult choices. Families are finding it increasingly hard to balance their budgets, and the strain is palpable. Businesses are shutting down, and people who once lived comfortably now find themselves barely scraping by. The middle class is shrinking, and financial insecurity is becoming the norm. The ripple effects are being felt across communities, with local economies suffering as a result. A simple grocery run that used to cost £50, now it's 80 or more. The price hikes are not just limited to luxury items, but have affected basic necessities. The shock at the checkout counter is a common experience for many. Essentials like milk, bread, and vegetables are becoming luxuries. Families are forced to cut back on nutritious food, impacting their health and well-being. The long-term consequences of poor nutrition are a growing concern. Rent and mortgage rates have skyrocketed, and energy bills have doubled for some households, forcing families to choose between heating their homes and putting food on the table. The housing crisis is exacerbating the situation, with many facing eviction. The fear of losing one's home is a daily reality for many. Meanwhile, wages aren't keeping up. The gap between income and expenses is widening, leading to increased financial stress. Workers are finding it harder to make ends meet, and the pressure is mounting. From nurses to teachers, railway workers to civil servants, strikes have erupted nationwide as workers demand fair pay. The labour unrest is a clear sign of the growing discontent among the workforce. The strikes are not just about wages, but also about dignity and respect in the workplace. The job market is increasingly unstable, with layoffs rising and secure employment becoming harder to find. Many are turning to gig work or multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet. The lack of job security is a significant source of anxiety for many workers. This isn't just a temporary setback, it's a seismic shift in the UK's economic landscape. The long-term implications could be profound, affecting generations to come. The economic policies and decisions made today will have lasting effects on the future. If drastic action isn't taken, inequality will widen, businesses will collapse, and trust in the system will erode even further. The social fabric of the nation is at risk. The need for comprehensive and effective solutions has never been more urgent. The question is, can the UK recover, or is it heading toward long-term economic decline? Policymakers are under immense pressure to find solutions that can reverse the downward trend. The decisions made in the coming months will be crucial. The cost of living crisis is pushing families to the brink, with many struggling to make ends meet. Budgeting has become a daily challenge, and financial planning is more critical than ever. Families are having to make tough decisions about their spending priorities. Savings are being depleted, and debt is mounting as people try to cope with the rising costs. Credit cards and loans are becoming lifelines, but they come with their own set of risks. The financial strain is taking a toll on mental health as well. Community support systems are overwhelmed, and food banks are seeing unprecedented demand. Charities and non-profits are struggling to keep up with the increasing need for assistance. The sense of community is strong, but resources are stretched thin. Utility bills are a major concern, with many households unable to afford basic services. The fear of disconnection looms large, adding to the stress and anxiety. The rising cost of utilities is a significant burden for many families. The government faces immense pressure to address these issues, but solutions are complex and slow to implement. Policy changes take time, and immediate relief is hard to come by. The challenge is to find sustainable solutions that can provide long-term stability. Public frustration is growing and the call for change is louder than ever. Protests and demonstrations are becoming more frequent, reflecting the urgency of the situation. The public is demanding action and accountability from their leaders. The future of the UK's economy hangs in the balance, and the path forward is uncertain. The choices made today will shape the nation's destiny for years to come. The resilience and determination of the people will be crucial in navigating these challenging times. 2. Brexit fallout and trade struggles. Brexit was meant to reclaim control and boost prosperity, but the reality is far from that vision. The initial optimism has given way to a harsh economic landscape where businesses are closing down, and once thriving towns are now filled with abandoned storefronts. The promises of a brighter future have been overshadowed by the stark reality of economic decline and uncertainty. Businesses are drowning in red tape, trade has become a logistical nightmare, and Britain's global standing has taken a massive hit. The long queues at customs checkpoints and the endless waiting for clearance have become a new normal, causing significant delays and financial losses. The once efficient supply chains are now bogged down by bureaucracy, making it difficult for businesses to operate smoothly. Before Brexit, UK businesses could trade freely with Europe. The trade routes were busy and customs operations were smooth, allowing for a seamless flow of goods and services across borders. The interconnectedness of the UK and EU markets facilitated economic growth and stability, benefiting businesses and consumers alike. Now, endless customs paperwork, supply chain delays, and rising costs have made it harder than ever. Delivery trucks are often stuck in traffic jams, waiting for the necessary clearances, which adds to the frustration and financial burden on businesses. The increased complexity of trade has led to higher operational costs, which are ultimately passed on to consumers. Many small businesses have given up on EU trade altogether. The increased costs and complexities have made it unfeasible for them to continue, leading to closures and job losses. The impact on local economies has been severe, with many communities losing their primary sources of employment and income. Consumers are feeling the effects too. Prices have surged due to higher import costs, and shortages of goods have become all too common. Empty supermarket shelves and high prices are now a frequent sight, affecting the daily lives of ordinary people. The cost of living has increased, putting additional strain on households already struggling to make ends meet. The UK, once a key player in European affairs, is now struggling to negotiate trade deals that match the benefits of EU membership. The empty trade conference rooms and the ongoing negotiations highlight the challenges in securing favourable terms. The uncertainty surrounding future trade agreements has left businesses and investors wary, further hampering economic recovery. Industries once promised a brighter future, like fishing, farming and manufacturing, are now feeling betrayed. Fishermen are returning with empty nets and farmers are left with unsold produce, questioning the promises made to them. The lack of access to key markets has devastated these industries, leading to financial losses and a sense of disillusionment. So, was Brexit worth it? Or has the UK made a costly mistake it can't undo? The uncertainty is palpable, with people holding British flags looking uncertain and protesters voicing their discontent. The nation is divided, with some still holding on to the hope of a better future, while others feel the weight of broken promises and unfulfilled expectations. The economic downturn has been stark, with trade volumes plummeting and businesses struggling to stay afloat. The decline in trade statistics and the economic graphs paint a grim picture of the current state of affairs. The once thriving economy is now grappling with the challenges of reduced trade and investment, leading to a prolonged period of economic stagnation. Ports that once buzzed with activity now see reduced traffic, and shipping delays have become the norm. The once busy ports are now eerily quiet, with empty shipping containers symbolizing the slowdown in trade. The reduced port activity has had a ripple effect on the broader economy, impacting jobs and businesses reliant on international trade. Farmers, who were promised a golden era, are now protesting against the lack of support and market access. The empty fields and the protests highlight their frustration and the broken promises. The agricultural sector, once a cornerstone of the UK economy, is now facing an uncertain future, with many farmers questioning their place in the post-Brexit landscape. Trade negotiations with the EU have been fraught with tension, leaving many frustrated and uncertain about the future. The negotiators' frustration is evident as they struggle to reach agreements that can mitigate the negative impacts of Brexit. The ongoing disputes and lack of progress have only added to the sense of instability and concern. Communities across the UK are grappling with the impacts of Brexit, questioning the promises made and the reality they face. Community meetings are filled with discussions about the future as people try to navigate the new economic landscape and find ways to adapt to the changes brought about by Brexit. The sense of community resilience is strong, but the challenges ahead are daunting, requiring collective effort and innovative solutions. Political turmoil in the UK has reached unprecedented levels. In just a few years, the country has cycled through multiple prime ministers, each promising change but leaving chaos in their wake. Since 2016, 5 leaders, David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, who lasted just 7 weeks, and Rishi Sunak, have struggled to steady the ship. Scandals, corruption and internal party warfare have left the government in crisis mode, while real issues like the NHS collapse and the cost of living crisis are ignored. Public trust in the political system is at an all-time low. With leadership this unstable, can Britain truly move forward, or is the system too broken to fix? The future remains uncertain as the nation grapples with these challenges. Scotland's independence movement is gaining momentum. In the 2014 referendum, 55% voted to remain in the UK. But Brexit, economic struggles and political discontent have shifted the landscape. Scotland overwhelmingly voted to stay in the EU, yet was dragged out against its will. Many Scots feel Westminster doesn't represent them, and calls for a second referendum are growing. An independent Scotland could rejoin the EU and take control of its economy, but separation comes with risks. Currency, trade and governance challenges loom. Westminster is determined to block another vote, but will Scotland ultimately break away? The future of Scotland hangs in the balance. Brexit has reopened old wounds in Northern Ireland. The Northern Ireland Protocol, designed to avoid a hard border with the Republic of Ireland, created new trade barriers between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK, infuriating unionists and disrupting businesses. The Good Friday Agreement, which brought peace after decades of conflict, now feels fragile. Political divisions are deepening, and support for Irish reunification is slowly growing. If a referendum on unification were held, the UK itself could be permanently reshaped. The future of Northern Ireland remains uncertain, with tensions simmering just below the surface. Crumbling public services. The NHS is overwhelmed. Record wait times, underpaid staff and hospitals at full capacity have pushed it to the brink. Public transport is unreliable and overpriced. Schools are severely underfunded, with teachers quitting in droves. Public services were once a point of national pride, but now they're barely holding together. If the government doesn't step in, inequality will skyrocket and millions will be left behind. The situation is dire, and immediate action is needed. Communities are stepping up, but they can't do it alone. The housing crisis and homelessness. Owning a home in the UK is becoming an impossible dream. House prices are at record highs, rent is swallowing up paychecks, and homelessness is rising at an alarming rate. Even those saving for years struggle to afford a deposit. Renting isn't much better, with landlords raising prices and evictions increasing. The housing crisis is deepening. Will the government step in before it's too late? Charities and communities are stepping up, but the scale of the problem is overwhelming. With so many empty homes, why are so many still without a roof over their heads? The government must act now to address this crisis. Aging population and workforce shortages. The UK's population is aging rapidly, with more people retiring and fewer young workers entering the workforce. Industries from healthcare to agriculture are facing severe staff shortages. Brexit worsened the problem by reducing migrant labour, leaving businesses struggling to hire. If the UK doesn't address this crisis, the economy could grind to a halt, impacting everyone. Solutions must be found to support the ageing population and fill workforce gaps. Floods, heat waves and rising sea levels are reshaping the UK. Cities are overheating, coastal erosion is destroying homes, and pollution is worsening health conditions. While the UK has made strides in renewable energy, it still lags behind. Without urgent action, climate change could further destabilize an already fragile economy. Wildlife is suffering, forests are under threat, and rivers are drying up, adding to the environmental crisis. Awareness campaigns and green initiatives are on the rise, but more comprehensive action is needed. Once a global powerhouse, the UK is losing its voice on the world stage. Brexit weakened its international standing, and economic struggles have reduced its influence. While it remains a UN Security Council member, Britain now struggles to shape global policies the way it once did. Is its era as a world leader coming to an end? The UK's declining global influence is evident in its reduced presence and impact on international affairs. Britain is at a crossroads. Economic turmoil, political chaos, and a fractured union are testing the nation's resilience. Can it turn things around with strong leadership and economic reform, or is decline inevitable? One thing is certain, the status quo cannot hold. Action is needed now. But what do you think? Is there still hope for Britain, or is disaster unavoidable? The future of the UK hangs in the balance. If you found this breakdown insightful, take a moment to like, subscribe, and join our growing community of informed viewers. Your engagement helps us continue creating in-depth, quality content that keeps you ahead of the curve. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay informed, and see you in the next one.